All right, so again, we're gonna do percent of a number. Let's do some. Ready? Okay, so everybody else can see my hand. We are recording this for you guys to watch later. All right, okay. So let's say we want to find out what 2% of 12 is. Okay, so 2% of 12 is, so again, that first one we have to change into a decimal. So it has no decimal because it's a whole number 2. Okay, so whenever you don't see a decimal, you can always safely assume that it's right there at the end. So to change it from a percent to a decimal, we have to move it 2 spaces to the left. Okay, or if you want to remember it this way, just call it butt cheeks. Okay, because it's butt cheeks. It's 2 butt cheeks. So you move it 2 places to the left, so I have an open space, so I have to put a 0 there, so I'm going to put 0.02. Of, I just told you that of is always a keyword in math, and it stands for multiplication. 12 stays 12, and is the same thing as an equal sign. So now we have to multiply this one and this one, and we don't have to line up decimals because we're not adding or subtracting, so I could just put the 12 on top or the 0.02 on top. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so I put it like that. So now I'm going to multiply. 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 1 is 2, put a space because I'm switching over to this place, and all those are going to be a bunch of zeros anyway, so 0 and 0. Now we're going to add those. And I'm running out of room, so I'm gonna get this 0, 2, 4. Okay. We have 2 numbers after a decimal in our problem. We have the 0 and the 2. So that means I have to move my decimal twice. Right now I don't have a decimal, so again, it's safe to assume that it's at the end. And I can move it 2 spaces because I have 2 numbers, so I get 0.24. 0.24. So all we're really doing is multiplying decimals. Okay, so change a percent to a decimal and multiply, and you're done. Okay, all right, so that's when they give you a percent. So let's assume they don't give you a percent. Let's say they give you a good old fraction, because you guys love fractions, right? Right, kids? Don't lie. All right, so 1/5 of, I don't know, let's say 22 is. Okay, so let's say we have to find out what 1/5 of a number is. Okay, so we can do it the same way. Okay. Still, the 1/5, we can leave it as 1/5. Okay. Of means multiplication. 22 stays 22, and is the equal sign. Okay, so on this one we have a fraction, so we have to change the rules a little bit. There's no butt cheeks on this one. This one we got to turn this into a fraction by putting a 1 under it, and then we multiply straight across. So here I'm going to get 1 times 2 is 22, and 5 times 1 is 5. So that technically is my answer, 22 over 5, but it doesn't look right. It doesn't look good. So we can do 2 things. We can do this thing, the smile thing, to turn it into a mixed number. So the 5 stays on the bottom. How many 5s go into 22? 4 of them, so that's our big number. And then our denominator, or our numerator, is just going to be whatever's left over. So 4 times 5 is 20. So the difference between 20 and 22 is 2. So that is my answer also. Both of these are actually the answer. Or if they want it in decimal, which sometimes they do because they, I don't know, love their decimals, you could turn this one into a decimal, or this one, it doesn't really matter. So let's start with this one. So I can do 22 divided by 5. So 22 goes in there. Remember the cowboy and the horse? Or the top dog in the house? That stuff. All right, so I get 22 inside and 5 outside. So I need to make it look like money, because that's what I always tell you to do. And then bring the decimal upstairs. Okay, so 5 goes into 2 0 times. Into 22, it goes in there 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. Subtract, you get a 2. Drop this, you get a 20. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. And 0, and we're done. Okay? We don't really have to drop this one because we're just going to get another 0 forever and ever. Okay, so you could put 4.40 or 4.4. Both of those are the right answer. Okay? Actually, all 3 of these. That's the answer. 22 over 5 is the answer. 4 2/5 is the answer, and 4.4 is the answer. They're all the same. All right, so that's one way of solving it. Another way of solving it is just by turning this guy, the 1/5, into a decimal from the start. So you can make it into a percent. You don't really need a percent. We could just turn it into a decimal. All right, so let's try that way. So that would be 1 divided by 5. So I would have to go 1 inside, because cowboy and the horse. Cowboy goes inside, horse goes outside the house. Can't have a horse inside the house. What's wrong with you kids? All right, so we have to divide, make it look like money. So let's put another 0 in there, and let's bring the decimal up. And now we can start dividing. So 5 goes into 1, 0 times into 10 twice. That gives me that. Subtract, you get 0, and we're really done. 0.2. Okay? So now I can put 0.2, and I know on Teams it's frozen for some reason because I don't even see my hand. That's weird. But don't worry, I'll post this video, kids. There it is. All right, so 0.2, which is the same thing as 1/5, 1/5. It's the same thing. 0.2 or 0.20 or 0.200, they're all the same thing. And that we're going to multiply times 22 and get that. Okay? So can anyone tell me how much percent that is? The 0.2. 0.20, good. Okay, so that would be 20%, because remember we do butt cheeks, but we do the other way, and it would be 2 and a 0, so 20. All right, so now we're going to multiply this, and we should get that answer right there. If we don't, we did something wrong. All right, so let's go 22 times 0.2. I'm going to take note that there's one number in front of a decimal, or one number behind a decimal. Okay, so that means I have to move my decimal once only. Okay. All right, so 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is also 4. My decimal's back here right now, so I have to move it over once right there. So I get 4.4, and I got the same thing that I got earlier up here. Okay? So either you can leave the fraction as a fraction, which I encourage you to do because that's the easiest way, and get the answer, and get the answer, and get the answer. Or you can do it, divide it first, change the fraction into a decimal, and multiply it, and you get the same answer anyway. ¿Entienden, niños? All right, let's do another one. Ready? All right, so let's say let's use 1/8. Ooh. So 1/8 of, what does of mean? Does anyone remember the key word that of means?
Multiply.
Multiply. Okay, so let's do 1/8 of 14 is, and what does is mean?
Equals.
Equals. Like, remember that problem that we did last week with that Manuel was having trouble with? Is was in there. Okay, is was the equal sign. All right, so let's do this. So first, let's do it the easy way with a fraction. So 1/8 of means multiplication. 14 means 14. Is means equal. Okay, and then make a better 8. All right, so we're going to make both of them into fractions. So I have to put a 1 under the 14, and I just multiply straight across. 1 times 14 is 14, and 8 times 1 is 8. So technically I am done. I got 14 over 8, but I can simplify it. I can cut both of those in half and get 7 over 2. And then I can just do the smile method. 2 stays on the bottom. How many 2's go into 7? 3 of those. And what's left? 1. 3.5, I can change that in my head into a decimal, so that's 3.5. Okay, so all 4 of these are the answer. 14 over 8, 7 over 2, 3.5, and 3.5 are all the correct answer. Okay? So now let's do it the hard way. We got to turn this into a decimal, and then we'll solve it. Okay? So the first step is do the division. So we have cowboy and the horse, or top dog in the house, whatever you like. If you like horses or dogs, I don't know. Make it look like money, and then bring the decimal up. Okay? So I'm going to change colors. Now we're going to divide. 8 goes into 1. Nope. 8 goes into 10 once. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract that. You get a 2. Drop that here. You get a 20. 8 fits into 20 twice. 2 times 8 is 16. Now we have a 4. So I'm going to need more zeros. So remember, you can add as many zeros as you want. Okay, so here I'm going to add one more to get a 40. And 8 goes in there 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40, and I'm done. Okay, so my decimal is 0.125. So that's the same thing as 1/8. So now I'm going to use that one. So who can tell me how much percent that is? 0.125. Anyone? Nobody?
1.25.
Oh man, that is so wrong. Remember, it's butt cheeks, okay? So you have to move it twice. You have 2 butt cheeks, not just one. So you have 2 butt cheeks like that, you move it that way, and you get 12.5%. Okay? But since we're not doing percent, we're just doing decimals, we don't even need to do that. That was just a little quick quiz to see your knowledge. Okay? Alright, so we're there. 0.125 times 14. So now we need to multiply that. Let me go ahead and put my equal sign. And I'm going to go ahead and erase my division so I can multiply there. Alright, again, we're multiplying, so you do not have to line up decimals. So I'm just going to put the longer number on top. Try to do this. You know how I always tell you guys when you look at your multiplication, see how many numbers are after the decimal? Well, write yourself a little note. 3. Okay? So if you want to do this, do this. So look, 3, I'm going to put a little 3 up here because that tells me how many times I have to move it at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and erase it. So I don't really need it anymore. I just know that I need to move 3 times. Alright, so now we're going to multiply. So let's change colors. 4 times 5 is 20, carry the 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10, carry the 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Move a space over. 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 1 is 1. Now we need to add that up, and I get 0, 5, 7, and 1. Okay, and remember I wrote myself a little note over here to tell me how many times I have to move the decimal. It tells me to move it 3 times. Decimal's right here right now, so I need to go 3 jumps, and I'm there. So my answer is 1.750. That's wrong, isn't it? Kids, is that wrong or not?
No.
Then how come I have 3.5 over here?
You have to do only 2, not 3. That's 17.5.
But this was my answer, no? So somewhere we messed up. Where did we mess up? I know where we messed up. Look over here. I cut these in half. I put 14 over 8, and I put 7 over 2. What's half of 8? 4. How come nobody said anything? Jeez, kids, come on. So that is wrong. So that should have been 7 over 4. We move that over. 4 goes into 7 one time. And 3 is left over. So I get 1 3/4. And what's 3/4 as a decimal? Does anyone know what 3/4 is as a decimal?
175.
0.75.
So there it is. So we got the same answer. So I got 1.75 and 1.75 right there. Okay? Remember, kids, I'm human. I make mistakes. So if you see me make a mistake, you have to tell me. I'm not a robot. Got it?
Yes.
All right. So let me just stop recording and then we'll do some more. Okay?